Hello, and welcome in to another edition of the Swarm here on the Hive. It is Wednesday morning, Tuesday night, wherever you are. So it is the sports edition of the Swarm. I am JPJ. He is CJ. We are here. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, we did not have a wrestling show last week. Real life got in the way, so we had to only do one show last week. So there is a lot to talk about today, sports wise and things of that nature. We might touch on some wrestling things, but we will have a wrestling show coming on Friday where I'm sure we'll dive into the meat of everything that has been going on the last couple weeks and all that stuff. But before we dive in on all that, CJ, how we doing, my man? How are you?
Pretty good. I watched my LSU repping the jerseys today. Won a college baseball national championship yesterday afternoon. So no complaints really. Last night, a little bit disappointing, unfortunately, but
Yeah, I'm sure we will dive into that. I'm sure that'll be a lot of our conversation today. Will be about the NBA Finals, which ended as we record this, which ended yesterday. Last night was Game 7 between the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. But there was a lot of sports over the weekend. You just said the College World Series wrapped up over the weekend. There was a really good golf tournament that had some dramatics over the weekend in my neck of the woods up here in New England. And we saw a New England boy, Keegan Bradley, come from behind and a big comeback and win in his home area, which was pretty cool. Obviously, the Stanley Cup Finals ended over late last week, early weekend as well, which you could dive into. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. But I mean, I think with it just being so fresh, by the time you guys see this, it'll be a couple days old. But it is Monday afternoon that we are recording this in States time. Last night, Game 7, Indiana Pacers at Oklahoma City Thunder. And the Oklahoma City Thunder prevailed, and they have won the NBA championship for the first time in their illustrious franchise history. Good series. It was a good series of basketball. Got 7 games out of it. Obviously, though, 7 minutes into the game last night, Indy's got a lead. Haliburton has hit three early threes. He's talking some shit. You could tell he's in it, and he's their best player. He's the one who stirs the drink. He doesn't always light up the stat sheet. I think in some of his better games, he'll end up with like 16 points and things of that nature, but he's really what gets everything going for Indy. And in Game 5, he had tweaked a calf injury that he had been kind of playing through. And last night in the first quarter, with about seven minutes into the game or so, he gets the ball top of the key. He's looking to make a drive. He plants his right foot. And if you saw the replays, the slow motion replay, you saw the pop of the right calf. You saw the recoil. He goes down immediately, screaming, crying, hitting the ground. Very reminiscent of what we saw with Jason Tatum not too long ago. Damian Lillard as well in these postseasons. Kevin Durant a handful of years ago, or however long ago that was now, in Golden State. The whole Achilles thing is another conversation I want us to have maybe after we dissect the game last night and just the series in general. But I mean, it's a Game 7. You hate to see that happen anytime, but when it's a Game 7 and it's a guy like that, and it's a guy that you had the feeling early that it was going to be a dogfight, and you knew that Haliburton would be there the whole time and he'd be hitting clutch shots and just making so he is. It's who he is as a player. And when that happened so early in the first quarter, it's just really deflating. I thought Indy did a really great job. They had the lead at half still, CJ. Like they fought And they never, even when they went down 21, they'd go on a run and get back to like 9 or 11. Like even without Haliburton, they never really quit.
Try
But
to teach him the
without,
funnel.
yeah. And just without Haliburton, no, you knew it was tough sledding. And obviously they couldn't overcome that. So, just how do you feel about it? I feel like we're going to look back on this series, and are we going to remember Oklahoma City winning more, or are we going to remember the Haliburton injury? And
We're gonna
what are we
remember-
going to remember?
It's going to be
about
the Thunder winning because everybody thought they were going to win anyway.
Yeah.
But there was something when Haliburton hit that third three and Thunder took a timeout. He turned around and started yapping some crazy shit at the crowd. I was like, it might be one of those nights for him.
Oh yeah, it felt like it. It felt like it was like
the crowd
ooh.
was dead silent too.
Oh yeah,
and that's one of the best crowds in the league.
Yeah.
But even though they kept fighting, they had the lead at the half. Even when they went down by like 22 in the fourth, they got it down to like 11 with like 5 or 6 minutes left. That's just who the Pacers are. That's who Rick Carlisle is. But you never I don't know about you, but when the Pacers were up by a point, I think they got the lead to like 6 or 7 in the second quarter early. I never thought the Thunder weren't going to win that game. Yeah. It was almost reminiscent of our Patriots when we had Brady and the heyday. We'd be down 14-3 at halftime. We're like, yeah, whatever, who gives a shit? Mm-hmm. It kind of felt like that. It was just like Shea's gonna hit a couple shots, Jalen Williams gonna hit a couple shots, and then we're gonna run away, and that's exactly what they did. But we're gonna have to talk about this in a minute too. The East, what the fuck is going on next year? 3 of the best players in the East are out for the whole season.
Yeah. And I thought, like I said, Game 7, didn't expect it to go to 7 when we were previewing this series and talking about it. We were like 5. Oklahoma City is dramatically better. But all of a sudden, after 3 games, Indy's up 2-1. They were on the verge of going up 3-1. Oklahoma City had to have, a pretty damn good comeback on the road in Indy, double-digit comeback. Shea kind of went off in that fourth quarter to even it up, and then it kind of felt like it was back in Oklahoma City's favor there. And we saw a really good performance from Indy in Game 6, and injured Haliburton fighting through it and having a great game and forcing Game 7. So, I mean, if you like basketball, it was a good series. If you're in the NBA offices, it was the worst rated NBA Finals in a long time. So I'm not sure how they feel about it from a business standpoint and how they can, I don't know if maybe they have to maybe less the penalty for spending certain amount of money for team. I don't know. And again, this was kind of a weird playoff year where you kind of end up with the favorite in the West, but then the East is not, it's one of the better teams in the East, obviously, clearly. But they're not, it's not a Boston. It's not a, it's not a New York. It's not, it wasn't.
Cleveland had the best record going.
Yes. It wasn't like, it's 2 markets where it's Oklahoma City and it's Indianapolis. And those are good sports towns. They show up for their teams. They're loud. They're great crowds. Like the arenas were great. But as far as markets go, and as far as non-diehard NBA fans, if you don't have a Celtics, a Lakers, a Knicks, or one of these, a Steph Curry, like one of these premier stars. And I know Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is incredible and he's the MVP and he was great in this series. And I don't think he should have been the MVP, but he is the MVP. Like, I get that. But even with that, he's not a name still that's going to draw a regular casual fan. Like LeBron, people will watch LeBron. Steph Curry,
it's the Floyd
Giannis.
Mayweather effect too. Like, you watch him if you want him to lose as well, even if you don't like him. You still watch him.
Yeah, and I just felt like, neither team had one of those guys that was going to move the needle in that way. And it's 2 smaller market teams that, like I said, unless you're a diehard NBA guy, you're going to be like Oklahoma City and Indianapolis. Okay, whatever, it's not. And, again, the series was good. The basketball was good. It was a fun series, but, it's one of those things, and we joked about it, but it's one of those things where the league looks at that and that as a business, That's how they look at it. They're going to look at it and go, all right, like we can't, I mean, they kind of can, but we can't determine who gets where. But at the end of the day, like this wasn't good for the league from a business standpoint, if you look at it that way. So it's one of those things where, on local radio around these parts, they were like, does the league have to go in there and kind of change how much they penalize teams for going over the luxury
Second apron
tax?
now,
When you go over the second apron, like if the Celtics kept everybody next year, they would have over $500 million payroll
and you
with
start
the
losing
taxes
picks too.
Yeah, and you start losing picks. So it's like, okay, well, if you don't want to run into situations where you're going to have series like this or rating, like, do you have to get that penalty lower or out of there so maybe more teams can spend the way that those other teams do? Or maybe the teams that spend the money like the Celtics wouldn't have to be like, okay, now we have to get rid of a third of our roster. Otherwise we're going to be, so, some more questions like that when it comes to the NBA. And I don't know how they fix it. Because again, when you're strictly just watching the games and the basketball games, it's a good series.
Yeah, great series, yeah. Especially when it's an underdog team against like a team that's supposed to win it too.
Yeah. I was pulling for Indy, man.
Oh, yeah.
Those last couple games, I was like, you know what? I know they're East and that's where my team roams, but like how I can't. I have to root for them. They're
the Haliburton wrestling thing too is always a good little time for us.
100%. He's one of us
personally. Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of us, and I was just like, but you had mentioned it. So this season alone,
just playoffs, just this playoff,
just in the playoffs, there were 3 big ones, but the whole season there were 10 different players who ruptured or tore their Achilles. Obviously, in the playoffs, and it was all in the East, you had Damian Lillard go down in the first round. You had Jason Tatum go down in the second round. And then you had Tyrese Haliburton go down in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. All 3 of them are most likely going to miss all of next season as well. So kind of a 2-part question, because you had mentioned it. Like, what the hell, like, what is the East going to look like next year? Because honestly, and I know this is going to sound like I'm a homer, but with the O's injuries, I still think even without Tatum, the Celtics are all of a sudden in a position where they could be like a top 3 seed, even without him.
They have the 3rd best odds in the East to win the championship.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Indiana's went down to like one of the last after.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I want to talk about what the East looks like next year if we're going into it with no Lillard, no Tatum, no Haliburton, and now Giannis has trade rumors and all this stuff. So if he ends up getting out of Milwaukee, they're done. And KD didn't end up in the East, which we'll talk about that in a little bit here. He didn't end up in the East. So what's that look like? And then B, does the NBA have a problem with these type of because this type of injury, it's not like one of those things where it's like, oh, that sucks, he's going to be out the rest of the playoffs. It's like, oh, no, he's out like all of next season. Well, and now you're talking about go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
That's what me and you came on and talked about in our first episode after the Tatum. It was well after that we started that the Tatum thing happened, but we kind of knew because we were going to go down 3-1 in that game. So like we know this series is over pretty much without Tatum, but our next season's fucked too. We're done next season too was our problem. Yeah, like you said, if he dislocated his ankle, you're like, all right, we're down 3-1. We just had a shitty year. Let's move on to next year. He'll be fine in 2 weeks, whatever. Our next season's likely not going to be a championship either, unless some crazy shit happens. The Bucks, it might cost you Giannis. Never mind your playoffs, and it might cost you the best player in the history of the team almost.
Yeah.
And then your future's cooked after that.
Yeah.
And then the Pacers, you are probably the East favorites next year.
I would think you would be going in next year as like, oh, they can get back there. They can get back there. And you
also might be on a boat right now celebrating a championship as well if that doesn't happen. Yeah. But you go from potentially winning a championship to getting your ass kicked in that game because he goes down after the half. They got their ass kicked anyway. And then next season's cooked too for you. So it has to be the Cavs and Knicks would be the favorites in my opinion.
Miami, maybe?
Unless Giannis stays in the East, which I don't know if the Bucks are trading in the East. Unless Tatum has his we end up as a 3 to 5 seed and he's able to play the playoffs, maybe, depending what we get back for Holiday and Porzingis. The Magic with Bane. What do you think about
I
that?
would think the Magic, because they just made
Could they
a
be the
big deal.
Pacers?
I think without Haliburton now, because they just made a deal and they got Bane, right?
Bane.
They got
So
Desmond
I'm
Bane.
saying, can they be the Pacers? Like a
Can
team
they? Yeah, I think
that
so.
just
If
make
they
the
if
East
they could,
Finals.
if they and Bane helps, but if they could, dude, they had one of the worst offenses in the league last year.
They had the worst 3-point shooting team in the NBA since the 2015 Lakers last year.
Yeah. So
And they just brought
Desmond
in one of
Bane,
the best shooters.
yeah, Bane will help that. If you could add another dynamic offensive talent to your team, whether it's through the draft or it's another free, another move.
Right.
Banchero can ball, dude. That guy is real good. And Wagner's good as a 2 there as well. You add Bane as kind of like their third guy. You get another.
Jalen Suggs is back from injury too. He wasn't playing last season.
Yeah, you need some guy, like not exactly the same type of player, but you need like your TJ McConnell, Peyton Pritchard type guy who's going to come off the bench, be a spark, do a little bit of everything, shoot, play gritty deep. Like you need that guy. I mean, again, we're going into this discussion assuming that those 3 guys that we saw get injured in the playoffs they're not coming. They're not coming back. I would think Orlando would be in the mix. New York doesn't even have a coach right now.
But you still kind of have, just by default after everything that's happened.
Yeah. So you figure I like Thibodeau. I think Thibodeau's a good coach.
I don't know what the hell they did.
I don't know what was going on there, but you figure they're not going to hire. Hopefully, you would think they're not going to hire some schmuck off the street. Like they're going to get a name. Yeah, I know. But you would think they're going to try to get a name coach in there. And if they do, you still got Brunson. You still got Malik. You still got Bridges, Mikal Bridges. OG. You still got Cat. You still got OG. Like you still got what you had that got you to the Eastern Conference Finals. And now the 3 big dogs, well, Milwaukee really not, but like your arch nemesis, Boston, who you took care of, and you were probably going to take care of even if Tatum doesn't get hurt, to be honest.
Yeah.
But Boston and Indy, one team that you had trouble with but got past, and the other team who's kind of been your other nemesis, their best players are not going to be there. Are not going to be there. So, I mean, there is a window right there that if New York was ever going to pounce and get to their first finals in a long time, they would be next year.
Do you think the Haliburton injury will have a lingering effect, or domino effect, excuse me? Do you think the Knicks, the Cavs, will just say teams that now think there's an availability to make the finals? Because not only like the big bad Celtics are out of the way, now like the pesky up-and-coming Pacers are out of the way. Giannis is probably out of the way. Do you think Knicks, Magic, maybe a team that thinks they're one player away, we get some fireworks on Wednesday night with the draft, and someone says, you know what, fuck this. I'm putting everything in for Giannis. I'm putting everything in for Devin Booker. I'm going to prime away from the Suns. Do you think there's a team that could, you know what, I'm a Booker or Giannis away from making the finals?
Yeah, I think so. I think even before all this happened, I think this week for the draft, I think on that draft night, there's going to be some wild shit. I think there's going to be some legit, and you got big time people in the know have been saying this for like a month now. Like draft week is going to be nutty. There's going to be movement, and now I think you add on what happened to Haliburton last night. That makes it even crazier to me.
And draft week kicked off last night. Did anything happen during the afternoon before the finals?
Yeah, I was going to say right before we had Game 7 last night. Across the ticker, and there was crazy video because Kevin Durant was sitting at some sort of
Fanatics Fest in Brooklyn.
Fanatics Fest. He's on stage for like a Q&A, doing an interview
with just regular people.
Yeah.
And everybody starts losing their mind.
Yeah, everyone, you hear this murmur, and Kevin Durant finds out in real time at this event in front of like 1,000 people or whatever, that he was traded to the Houston Rockets. And it was Jalen Green,
Dylan
Brooks, and 5 second-round picks. And the 10th pick on Wednesday. And was it the draft on Wednesday?
They do 2 nights now. It's Wednesday's round 1, Thursday's round 2.
Oh, that's good to know, because I always thought it was always on a Thursday.
It was.
All right. So they got Jalen Green, who's kind of the star player going back.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. They got Dylan Brooks, who's everybody's favorite player in the league, apparently.
Hey, you
he's
need
a good player.
You need him on
Yeah,
teams sometimes.
100%. They got the number 10 pick in the draft this year, plus 5 second-round picks.
And one or two of them is this year, so the Suns end up with like 5 picks this season.
Yeah.
I mean on Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, and obviously the Houston Rockets get Kevin Durant. So they keep Amen Thompson, who I think is their best player.
Yeah.
They keep Şengün. And now you throw Durant in there.
I think it's important they kept Jabari Smith, Tyrese, and Cam Whitmore.
Yeah.
They kept all their depth.
And this is days after they locked up Ime Udoka to an 8-year contract extension, making him one of the highest paid coaches in the league.
So.
As a Celtics fan, obviously there was some off-court stuff. But in his 1 year here, we got to the finals.
If you're not a Celtics fan or a massive NBA fan and don't know, it's nothing like that, by the way.
No, he had an affair.
He cheated.
He had a consensual affair.
Yeah, with an adult woman.
With an adult woman
for the Celtics,
who worked for the Celtics, and they decided the best route was to relieve him of his duties. Yeah, no, it wasn't like he broke a law. It wasn't like he's not a criminal. He's not a bad guy. I mean, he cheated on his wife.
He's a bad guy if you're, was it Nia Long?
I mean, I would question cheating on Nia Long. I would question cheating on Nia Long or Nia Long. That just seems ridiculous to me in general. I know he's a good-looking guy. I know temptations are out there, but you're going home to Nia Long, buddy.
That is
keep it in your pants.
That's an interesting choice to say the least.
But
again, we're not millionaires and we don't look like that, so maybe. But that's a little insane.
That shouldn't be hard. That shouldn't be hard to not do that.
Something was hard.
My God. Anyway, isn't it crazy how we're talking about the Celtics and the light turned green back then? But he's a great coach, and I would say that the Houston Rockets were the number 2 seed. I think they kind of overshot what they were supposed to do this year, but he is part of the reason why they were that number 2 seed, because he is a fantastic basketball coach. Even though I understood why the Celtics got rid of them, I did not want them to.
They kind of forced their hand, though. They kind of had to, yeah.
But I did not want them to, because I knew how good of a coach he was, and even though I am pro Mazzulla, there's not even a comparison. Like, Udoka is just levels above as a coach.
To be fair, though, he does have way more experience than Mazzulla.
100%.
But I think obviously it sucks, and neither one of us liked it at the time, but it worked out. We won.
No. Yeah, everybody worked out. But
Rockets are very happy it happened.
Yeah, so now they have their coach who's going to be there for a while. Now they just make a massive trade. They get their star player, still one of the 5 to 7 best players in the league. You throw him with that
5 best scorers at minimum.
Yeah. Then you throw him in there with that young, exciting, athletic core.
And
if they stay healthy, I mean, Oklahoma City's not going anywhere. They might even get better.
I might have a thought on that in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, they could potentially get better. But I don't think they're going anywhere. Everybody they have is under contract for a long time.
They're not going anywhere, at least for another year or two. They might be in a Celtic situation, though, very quickly, but it won't be for another couple of years.
They won't be able to pay all these guys, because right now they're all on their rookie.
Yeah, they'll be fine for the next year or two, but it could get weird after that.
Yeah, so they're going to be around next year, the year after that. Now you got Houston adding a guy like Durant, and then you got the rest of the West. Minnesota's still relatively young. Like, you got a good, So where does
Wemby,
this put?
Someone might go play with Wemby.
Yeah, exactly. San Antonio, they have Wemby. They got De'Aaron Fox. You had a third guy there.
They have Cooper Flag, AD, Kyrie.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Spurs, I am trying to get Giannis.
I'm doing anything.
I am trying
anybody
to get
not named Wembanyama. Take him.
Yeah. I am trying to get Giannis with Fox and Wemby. If I can have those 3 guys,
that's something right there.
You're gonna be okay. You build the rest.
You can put me and you for the other 2 players at that fucking point. I'll hit a corner 3 every once in a while.
If you're 4 and 5, are Wemby and Giannis, you are not getting past the free throw line.
No one will ever score in the paint.
You're not getting past the free throw line. Celtics will have a fucking field day.
Oh, but the Celtics might be sweet.
That's like, this is what we want. This is what we want. Yeah. But you're not getting past the free throw. Like, you're not the wingspan. They could just have both of them on the baseline, and they'll go sideline to sideline.
The Thunder have 2 of the best drivers in the league too. That's a bad matchup for the Thunder if it happened. With Jalen Williams,
if I'm San Antonio, if I'm San Antonio, I'm literally calling them and going, everybody but Wemby, but try to make it everybody but Wemby and Fox picks, whatever the fuck you want. We'll give you literally
they have
anybody.
The second pick too.
Yeah, we'll give you anybody. Who's projected to go second behind Fox?
Dylan Harper, a guard from Rutgers, which is Rutgers.
Rutgers.
So Rutgers had a nice little we'll say donation from an NIL source. So they had the number 1 and 2 high school prospects in the country both commit to Rutgers last season. And then I think they won about 9 games because they spent their entire budget on the number 1 and 2 prospects. They had people that are similar that look like us playing on the team after those two. So
I was gonna say they didn't even make the tournament.
Because you've probably heard of the name for not great reason, Ace Bailey, who's like refusing to work out with every team in the league. He's just a lunatic. He was the other guy on the team. So Rutgers had the projected 2nd and 3rd picks in the NBA draft Wednesday night.
Well,
But yeah, I don't know the West. Yeah, I'm doing anything to get Wemby, to get Giannis if I'm the Spurs.
Oh yeah.
But back to the Rockets. I don't know, man. They're gonna have a top 5 defense because of Ime.
100%.
The biggest glaring weakness for me was a go-to scorer late in games, and they got
Durant.
a top 5 player all time that does
all time, like of all time.
And he's averaged almost 27 last year, 26.6, I think. That'll do it. I'll take 27 point on my team. So
yeah. I mean,
I think Rockets. If no one makes a move for Giannis, we don't have a crazy Devin Booker trade, no crazy Jaylen Brown trade. I think the Rockets are 2 in the West for me.
I mean, they were 2 in the West this year without Durant.
I think like legitimately the second best team. Not a Timberwolves, not a Lakers,
No, I would think so. And obviously health will matter there because Durant is old and he does get hurt.
But hey, that team showed they're good enough. He can go sit out 40 games. I don't give a shit.
No.
Put your ass down.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about awards. You have to play 65 to get these all NBA teams. He's made his money. He's going to get another extension. This is part of it, by the way, we should mention.
Yeah.
He had a list of teams that he said, I'm not fucking you can trade me to, the Wizards. I'm not fucking re-signing there, so they ain't going to trade for me. So the Rockets and him probably have like a 2-year, 3-year extension already ready to get announced.
I would think that he told everybody like, hey, not only do I want you to trade me, but I want you to put me on a team that I'll be there for a little bit.
Right. And
then,
then,
like you said, he's not going to fucking go there.
The Hornets.
The Hornets and sign a 4-year extension. He's not going to do that. But Houston, surrounded by a good young core with Ime, he'll do that,
Right. And then he knows those kids will do the dirty work for him. He doesn't have to go die for loose posts. They have Amin Thompson, Tyrese, and we'll all do that shit. It'll be they went from it's a 2 seed. They kind of felt like the Pacers last year. Last year's Pacers again, not this year. But now they're like, okay, you went from a cute 2 seed to you can fuck around and beat the Thunder if everything goes right.
Yep. 100%.
So, and KD has that little bit of a ick in him that he wants to stick it to the Thunder. Don't think he doesn't.
Oh yeah.
If that's the Western Conference Finals, he might put up 40 a night.
I mean, I would think. You don't think a part of him was happy for them last night?
I think he can be happy for them, but he also wants to stick it to him and say, fuck you. I'm going to be the one that takes you out. So,
yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely happy for him, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of the NBA Finals and the NBA. I do think that when we get back here next Monday afternoon to record, we are going to have some more. Obviously, we'll be talking the draft, but we're going to have some more fireworks because we know the Celtics have to do something.
And like before July 6th or something?
Yeah,
like it's coming up.
I'm pretty sure by the end of this week.
Yeah, that's
or when like you said, the following middle of the week.
Yeah, it's July.
That's when that penalty, so they have to get off of money.
And I'll tell you right now, I'll fucking get right up to the camera if I had to.
Yeah.
A new owner in his first season with the club is not paying $500 million.
No, after he just spent $6 billion to buy it.
Guess what? I think he's one of the good owners because he has shown he's an actual fan of the Celtics, which we love.
Yes,
but. If it comes down to it, he'll get if Brad comes to him. No one's taking Porzingis because he's injured and he's always been injured. He only has 1 year left. People think Drew Holiday's washed. No one's giving me anything. He'll be like, trade Jalen. I think there's something he'll give an order. Like you have to get this money off. You have to. I don't care what the fuck you do.
Yeah.
And we could. There's a few NBA teams that will look vastly different in 7 days from today.
Yeah, big time.
Well, less than that, but when we talk again in 7 days.
Yeah. Over on the other finals, for the second year in a row, the Florida Panthers defeated the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup Finals. Brad Marchand. Yeah, 6 games instead of 7 like last year. You know, Brad Marchand.
Pick with the Panthers, if you don't mind.
What is that?
I have a bone to pick with Panthers fans and some of their players. They keep doing this "thank you Boston" thing, like we're gonna be pissed off. I haven't met one fucking Bruins fan that is mad about this. Not one.
No.
And you winning the cup gave us a first instead of a second. By the way,
yeah.
We are very happy. Our boy won a championship, and we got a first instead of a second. Thank you. You're welcome, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can say that the Panthers have kind of become our rival here over the last few seasons just because we played them in the playoffs, but it's not – I don't view them that way.
And we put it to the side for this series because we wanted Marchand to win.
Yeah, and I think most Boston people, even though we don't like Florida, we were pulling for Brad Marchand.
Right.
Because we wanted him to win. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually very happy for Brad Marchand. I don't care that Florida won again.
No.
I thought it was going to be McDavid's time, but he needs friggin' help. He's got
Did you hear him in their exit interview the 2 days after the finals?
No.
He did not say. You can kind of have every chance to be like, I want to end my career here. I want to yada yada.
Oh yeah, he wants to win.
He did not say anything. If you're an Orioles fan, you have a tight asshole for the next few months until the season starts. Yeah. He was non-committal to say the least.
They have to get a legitimate goaltender. I don't think that is the only reason. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If I was the Bruins, I would be calling them going, hey, we have Jeremy Swayman. We'll take anything.
We'll take Connor.
Yeah, we'll take anything you have if you want a goaltender. Because to me, that, again, it's not the only reason they lost. I think McDavid in the series ended up being like a -7 for the series. I thought he played.
Draisaitl showed up.
Yeah, Draisaitl and him always show up.
Right.
But besides that, they don't have much. And the goaltender, I mean,
horrendous.
You can't, you got this generational player. He carries your team to the finals and 2 years in a row.
MVP caliber player as well on your team.
Yeah. And they carry your team to the finals with like a below average supporting cast. And you got to give them more than that. But I do think this is 2 finals in a row where, when you get these type of guys in these type of situations and you lose, I feel like once you lose twice, that's when the questions start to come. And I feel like we're not there yet when it comes to Connor McDavid, because I do think people do look at the supporting cast and the goaltender and they kind of a little bit more forgiving. Mm-hmm. But I do think, if they make another deep run next year, or God forbid they make it to the finals 3 years in a row, he better win. Because that is what is going to make you one of those generational guys that you clearly are when we watch you play.
Right.
But are you one of those generational guys that's never going to win a championship like a Charles Barkley, or are you one of those generational guys that's going to win? You know what I mean? And I think he's really at the point now, and it's not all his fault. He only can do so much. But
especially in hockey, you're on the ice for 20 seconds at a time.
Yeah. But I do think he is approaching that point of his career where if he doesn't win one here in the next few years and he's still in the mix, that people are going to start openly saying, does he have what it takes to win?
I think he just leaves, personally. It's his last year of his deal.
Come to Boston if he wants.
We need to prepare for this. There's a chance we come here in a year, hopefully we're still here in a year, that Brad Marchand and Connor McDavid are a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think we need to prepare for that possibility.
Well, is McDavid a Toronto guy?
Yeah. He's from Ontario. Yeah.
Yeah, but if he goes there, he'll just suck. That team is cursed.
But I don't know. He's one of those guys.
I love Brad Marchand. Some team is going to overpay that man.
And the Maple Leafs have $30 million in cap room.
Yes. Don't get me wrong. He was excellent. He was one of the main reasons Florida won. He was excellent in the playoffs. Really, really good in the finals. But it's not that hard to be as impactful when you're like the 9th or 10th guy.
No, I agree with that.
And Marchand,
someone's gonna think he's still 2011 Marchand and give him
correct.
$8
They're
million.
gonna look at him and go, "Oh, he could be our 2nd or 3rd guy on a team." And it's like he might be able to, and he'll still be good, but he's not going to be what you just saw because he was the 7th or 8th, maybe even 9th or 10th guy.
And a team that was already maybe the best team in the league.
Yes, well. They literally were repeating champion. Like they literally were the champions last year. And again, when we talked about it, he's the perfect guy for them.
Such a little bitch.
He's a little rat, and that's the type of guys they have, and they're dirty, and I don't mean dirty as in like dirty, but like they're gritty, they're tough, they hit, they're violent. And a lot of those guys, Sam Bennett was like 2nd or 3rd overall in the draft he was taken. What's his name? Reinhardt? He was a top 5 pick.
Yep.
Like those guys like that are top 5 picks that kind of lose their way, and then they all end up in Florida. You got a whole team of these tough, gritty guys that were all former top 5 picks. That means that they had talent. That they were top. You don't just become a top 5 pick if you're a bruiser. You're a top 5 pick because you can fucking score and you're talented. Then they all kind of flame out because they all went to Buffalo, and Buffalo is a fucking shitstorm. So then they all go to, Florida,
which is usually a shitstorm.
Yeah, and then it's like now they're this dumb, and they got the perfect coach who's also a rat bastard. But they got a perfect coach. They're just like They're everything I want the Bruins. They're everything I want the Bruins to be.
What we used to be in 2011. The 2011 Bruins.
Yeah, the way they play, it's like they're skilled offensively, but they'll beat the piss out of you. And that's what the Bruins used to be. And now they're not so much. They'll beat the piss out of you.
We have a new coach since we last talked, though.
Yeah, Marco Sturm, former player. I'm okay with it. I like this press conference. He seems all right.
He went on the sports sub for about a 30-minute interview with Phil.
Yeah, he seemed all right. He seemed excited. But
he talks. He'll be like, "Yeah, I don't think we had a good team last year." I was like, "Okay, I like that shit." Like, yeah we fucking
good.
Suck. I like that.
Don't be too mean though, because maybe they'll run you out of town like they did Cassidy, who won the Stanley Cup the next year because he was too mean. Jake DeBruski, little bitch. He's not here anymore anyway, so who gives a fuck? But still, like, what the hell?
Was he Vancouver or something?
Yeah, something like that. Who gives a shit? That's what I have to say. Unbelievable. Oh, he makes us practice too hard. Oh, does he? Pretty sure he won a Stanley Cup the next year. What'd you do? Oh, choke the best regular season of all time?
Against who, by the way?
Yeah, Florida. Up 3-1, by the way.
Did you see?
Up 3-1 in that series with Game 7 at home.
Real quick before we move on. There's a Maple Leafs podcast that I listen to because I like how miserable they always are. It makes me happy. Yeah. There was a random regular season game 2 years ago between the Penguins and the Blackhawks, two just completely random teams. The Blackhawks won like 5-2 last day of the regular season. If the Penguins would have won, that would have eliminated the Panthers in playoff contention, which means the Penguins would have played us in the first round when we have and we sweep the Penguins even when we're ass. We
would have destroyed the Penguins.
They're our Knicks usually.
Yeah.
Until this year, obviously, but yeah. So this technically a random regular season game in April of 2022 started this Panthers dynasty.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. So
it always comes down to fuck the Penguins. Fuck Sidney Crosby. It's always how it goes down to.
Always. Unbelievable. The Red Sox, they played Rafael Devers over the weekend.
He did something on Saturday.
He had a home run. Sure did. First one of the draft. He went 0 for 5 on that Friday night, though.
Oh, yeah, he did not look good.
He went 0 for 5, and Chapman struck him out and was screaming at him after he struck him out.
Second to last out of the game,
Yeah. And that was the only game we ended up winning in the series. Game 2, they won, and yesterday, we should have won that game yesterday.
That Durant check.
Our deep,
camera check.
And there's a line drive, and I get it was hit hard, but there's a line drive hit right to Romy Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Catch the fucking ball. It's right to you, dude. You didn't even have to move. You didn't even have to move. What the fuck? Like, why can't we play defense?
Most errors in the MLB?
We can't catch the fucking ball. It is unbelievable.
I don't want to talk about baseball. The Blue Jays lost 2 out of 3 to the White Sox over the weekend. So.
Hey, look at the White Sox took 2 out of 3 from us earlier this season. The Red Sox too.
And we play you guys next weekend.
Yeah, you'll probably beat us. There was a Jeff Passan story.
Oh yeah,
yep. You read this shit?
The Devers thing?
Oh my God, you read it?
Yeah, I did.
Brother.
You know who this came from, right?
To me, it came from Alex Cora.
Cora, yeah, exactly. That's exactly
100%.
Told Patson this. Yep.
100%.
Yep.
But for anybody that doesn't know, why don't you let the people know some of the stuff that is in this friggin' article?
Let's get to Mr. Breslow first, shall we?
All right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can.
Let's get to Breslow. And then I'll say you can talk about Devers. I'll talk about the funny things.
Then we played Devers this past weekend.
It might be over now. Finally.
It's over. I feel like that was like kind of the emotional last step for Red Sox fans. Like, play him for a full series, see him in the other uniform. All right, yeah, okay, we're on. See you later. All right,
he'll play every game at 2:00 in the morning when the Giants. No one cares about him anymore.
Whatever, you know.
Red Sox he has some weird ass. Isn't his title like Triple H's title for WWE? It's like some.
It is not general. So
shit.
Ever since Dombrowski left, so Heimblum and him, they were not the general managers. They were the chief baseball chief of baseball operations. I believe was the.
It was like the Patriots until this year. They would not call anybody their GM when Belichick was there, even after Belichick left for the year. Anyway, so Breslow's the Red Sox GM for all intents and purposes.
Yes.
He was on a Zoom meeting with his staff, according to the report, obviously. And I forgot the guy's name. Do you have it there?
I don't have the guy's name, but it was an older scout.
Who's been in the league since like the 80s and 90s.
Yes.
So he knows what the fuck he's talking about, probably.
Yes.
They finished up their meeting. It doesn't really say what they were talking about in the meeting, but they finished up their Zoom meeting. Some of the people were on Zoom, some were in person. The gentleman who we're talking about thought his Zoom ended. He thought he
sure did.
End call button. And he's with, like I said, some of the people were together, some were in Zoom. So whoever the guy he was physically with, he thought he ended the call and went over to his friend and said, "Thanks, Brez, you fucking stiff." Yeah. The call did not end. Breslow was looking at him the whole time saying that. Yeah. He was fired.
They fired him. Yeah, they fired him.
He was fired within a week.
Sure was. Sure was.
What do you think about that to start?
I think
fired.
Listen, I think that's an unfortunate circumstance. You can't call your boss a stiff. Now, do I think he should have been fired? No. Yeah. Do I think Breslow, and I'm going to say a bad word, but do I think Breslow needs to stop being a pussy? Yeah. Because you know why this Rafael Devers situation really got to the level that it did? Because Breslow got his fucking feelings hurt. Because Graffy told him to go screw and wouldn't say his name and said, "I'm not fucking doing what you want me to do because you lied to me." Again, I'm not saying, and we said it last week when we really went into Devers. The whole episode was basically
literally
Devers
the entire episode
last week. But I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Devers was perfect. Like, he was not a good teammate.
No, nope.
And now there's more stuff that has come out. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's more stuff that's come out that doesn't make Devers look great either. Okay, so I'm not saying that Devers is some angel here, but make no mistake. The reason why this happened was because of the botching of this situation by Craig Breslow and upper management. And the reason why Devers was traded the way he was traded was because of fragile egos, in particular, both Devers and Breslow, but in particular, Breslow saying, I'm getting rid of you. I'm getting rid of you because you hurt my feelings type of situation. And it just seems like Breslow is, and the reports are like Breslow is very close to the vest a little bit with his stuff. And like, if you're not in his circle, you don't really know what's going on. And if you question him, he does not like that. And he's that type of guy. And it's very bizarre to me because he's a former player.
Won World Series.
Yeah. But I just feel like former players usually have this type of attitude where they're not like that because they were players and they get it.
Right.
And it just feels to me that he's just, I don't know. And the things about Rafi, how he, when you sign that type of contract and you're the star of the show, guess what? There's obligations that come with it. Cody Rhodes went back to WWE as the top guy. It wasn't just about winning championships on television. It's no, you're getting up at 5 a.m. and you're going on the fucking radio stations and you're going to do media and you're flying to here while everyone else is going over here because you got to do that. Like, that's part of it. That's what comes with it when you're QB1. And Devers was the guy, whether he wanted to be and whether they wanted him to be or not. He was. They didn't, and he didn't want it either. He wanted the money.
It was a PR thing. They couldn't after the Benson Bogarts thing. They had to pay him.
Yeah. But then you hear, you read some stuff and you hear some stuff, and every time that there was a community event, every time there was a media thing, every time there was a thing with his other teammates, they were like, hey, man, we need you to be here. You're our guy, you're our main guy. And every time Devers was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
There was Jared Carabas, who we've talked to about Section 10, gave a little bit of insight on their episode. They dropped their episodes late at night after each series, so I listened to it this morning, and they talked about this a little bit, and he gave a little bit of insight. He's tapped in for people that don't know.
Oh, big time. Huge.
He's like good friends with like Bregman and everybody. So he's hearing this from someone that would know. He said he heard that I forgot where I was going with this. Something about Devers. After the game, after Saturday, Sunday nights, they won Saturday and Sunday, the Giants, right? Game 2 and 3?
Yeah.
After one of them, I forget which, he gave a post-game interview to the local Giants, whatever their Nesson is. That's his first post-game interview since 2022. He refused to do it with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
And he did it with his first win with the Giants.
Yeah. So there were things like that. Where,
and guess what? Much of like not a media guy is.
And in 2022, Craig Breslow wasn't here.
Nope.
Wasn't here in 2022. That was Chaim Bloom. So that tells me that there were certain things going on with Devers on that side of things that have been happening for a long time. Not just, I don't like my GM, so I'm going to, rebel and stuff like that. There were clearly other things that were going on. He is a franchise guy when it comes to at the plate, but he did, and he wanted the franchise contract, but he didn't want to live up to the bargain of the franchise guy when it came to stuff like that. No post-game interviews. Like I said, no charity things, no meet and greets, no, community thing, nothing. He didn't want to do that. Then there was the report, which everybody has denied. However, the guy who broke the story, June Lee, is very reputable and he's very in the know. He had a report that said when Casas went down, the team had gone to Christian Campbell, who has now been called down to the minors, by the way. He got put down to the minors because he's been scuffling for 2 months.
But he will start at first base, apparently, as well, though.
So he was Christian, and again, this was denied by Devers, denied by Alex Cora. So I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel like, why would you make this up? Why would you make this up? But apparently the report was that Christian Campbell was asked if he would be interested in trying to learn first base, and him being a rookie who just signed a deal, he was like, yeah, I'll do whatever. And the report was that Devers got very pissed about that, and he said something along the lines to Campbell of like, you're making me look bad.
Right.
You're making me look bad.
Showing me up.
You're showing me up by doing that. Again, has been denied by Devers. Alex Cora said he didn't know anything about it. So take that what you will. But the guy who broke the story felt like it was good enough to add into the story.
Right.
So I would think that his sources there are good enough that he was okay with leaving that in the story.
Right.
So you hear things like that, and it's just kind of like, man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
if you want JPJ's almost right away reaction, watch last week's episode. It was an hour of Devers and bashing the Sox pretty much.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And the quote that stuck out to me in the passing piece when he was talking about Devers, it says, Rafael Devers is going to play first base for the San Francisco Giants. Maybe not this weekend when the Red Sox come to town, but it will happen soon. And as much as those in the anti-Devers camp point to the double standard, one person close to him said there's another takeaway to glean. Quote, sometimes it's not the message. It's how the message is delivered.
It's like the thing everybody's parents told them. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
When you're talking back to your parents, don't talk back to them. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. That's always, you learn that from a kid.
Yeah. So apparently Devers, according to Devers' camp, and we don't know if this is true or not.
But that's something we thought last week we talked about.
Yeah.
Before this report even came out, you said, and this was kind of, you ranted for about an hour. I said about 8 words, but I was loving it. It's if they said, hey, Bregman wants to be here. We want to sign Bregman. It's just a matter of time on the negotiation, on the deal. He's coming here. We're not going to put him at second base. He's a Gold Glove third baseman. He's won World Series. He's won everything there is to All-Star games, all MLB teams. He's going to play third base. We want you to DH and maybe take some grounders at first in case something happens to Costas, if he needs a blow, if Costas needs to be a DH for a night, whatever. Devers might not have been happy about it, but he probably, again, we don't know. He could have just said, fuck you, I'm not doing that too. We don't know. But that's exactly what the report's saying. Devers is kind of saying the same thing. If they were just up front, I might not have been happy about it, but I probably would have been at first base wearing the white and red tonight instead of the orange and black or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's what it feels like. So, again, it's one of those things that is probably the end of the...
Thankfully.
Yeah, but that story broke towards the end of last week, and it was just like, God damn, now we got some juice behind everything that's going on, heading into the series and things like that. Speaking of juice, while we're talking baseball, Dodgers and Padres had themselves a nice little exciting series. Yeah, where they were benches cleared. Ohtani got hit, people getting hit left and right. And it led to a bench, not a brawl or anything like that, but it led to some benches clearing and some pushing and shoving. And they're the two best teams out in the AL West. The AL West is strong in general. The Giants have, yeah, but the Giants have been good. The Diamondbacks are good, and then you got the Rockies who have like 12 wins.
They have 4 of the best teams in baseball, and then one of the worst teams in the history of the sport.
Yes. I don't know about you, but I love that kind of shit. I love when there's animosity.
Especially baseball fucking needs that shit. It happens in the NFL and everything else, but baseball never has that shit.
Yeah. I've always been one of those guys where it's like, yeah, I get it. Like a lot of players are friends now and stuff like that. But when the players don't like each other, it just adds so much more. I think about the Red Sox and Yankees from the late 90s and early 2000s. And it was like the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry has been there for 150 years.
Right.
But those teams, those guys hated each. Pedro hated the players on, and the Yankees hated like those
later. Ortiz too.
Yeah, like it just made it so much more just better. Like, and to kind of see that, and don't get me wrong, like I don't think that everyone should be brawling left and right over here, but like when there's nothing better than a good baseball fight. When the bench is clear and it's like,
it makes it better.
Oh yeah. And I just, it's one of those things where I saw that happen over the weekend and I was like, oh yeah. I was like, get it.
Give me some of that shit.
I was like, go ahead, man. Just start fucking wailing people.
I think that might have been a Fox game too.
Yeah, it's like just start throwing haymakers. Just start throwing haymakers. Someone. So that was exciting. That was a little bit of fun. What else is going on in the world of sports?
Not much.
No. We got the
we're kind of heading after the draft. The NBA draft is usually kind of the summer is here, get ready to watch baseball and like soccer.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say in the soccer world, we got the Gold Cup going on now.
USA is advanced, even though
USA has advanced. They have they were perfect in the group stage.
Not the best teams in the Gold Cup to be fair.
No. But look, you only can play who's in your shit.
If the US was losing, everybody would be talking. So
100%. In the mixed martial arts world, John Jones retired.
That's my world. That's where I come from, writing.
Yeah, so he retired and he relinquished. Wasn't he kind of like holding that title hostage, basically?
Yes, and then John Jones retired for about 10 minutes because he was right.
Wait, he's not retired anymore?
Oh no, he is. But it's kind of a joke, but not really. Within legitimately less than an hour of him announcing his retirement, he got another legal case came out against him.
Oh, I did see that.
So it was like he's retired, but John Jones is right back, baby. Prime John Jones is back.
All right. So this is a little bit of so this is your world as compared to mine.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest fighters in the history of time. Is he the greatest? Do you think he's the greatest pound for pound?
I try to put it aside when talking about strictly in-ring, in-competition things. Yes. He's the best ever, in my opinion.
Right? He is, right? There's nobody that could do what he did when he was at his high. Like, he almost unbeatable.
He took 4 years off to go to heavyweight and destroyed the #1 contender in a minute and a half.
Like, as unbeatable as maybe there has ever been. Although, a lot of people say Khabib. But Jones was like,
that's the whole podcast.
Jones was like tall and lanky, had long arms. He could just
zero weaknesses.
No, he could submit you, he could knock you out, he could do anything.
And he has admitted several times that he barely ever trained for his fights during like his prime title reigns. He was just snorting coke and partying the entire time.
Fucking incredible. That whole family.
Yeah,
because Chandler Jones was another guy
Arthur Jones and Chandler, both Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, both Super Bowl champions. Chandler Jones at one time was one of the better pass rushers in the league. Probably could have been he probably could have been a Hall of Fame all-pro type guy if off the field things.
Another Jones with off the field issue.
You know, I don't think his was as criminal.
No,
as
it was just,
John,
but it was kind of like he
drug related.
He liked to dabble in some drug use.
Yeah,
John Jones was like an actual bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a story that Chandler Jones ended up naked at a police department in Massachusetts, right?
He was butt naked, high off of K2, which is basically like spiced weed, and was dancing on top of cop cars butt ass naked.
That was when he was still a Patriot.
Yes, and it was on a Sunday morning, so it was like 8 hours before a game.
And he played in that game.
I'm pretty sure he did, because they found out afterwards.
Probably had a sack. So John Jones retires, arguably, and then CJ, who's very much in that world. In CJ's opinion, not the person, but the fighter.
Oh, definitely.
The greatest to ever do it. The greatest to ever do it.
Might be the worst to ever do it off the out of the cage.
I don't think I've ever seen a top tier generational athlete get in his own way more than him.
You think about how great he already was snorting coke and doing all and hitting people with cars and shit. Imagine he didn't do that.
Yeah. But just incredible. Just an incredible fighter. And again, this is coming from someone who, like, I would order the big fights when Rousey was in her height and McGregor and John Jones was one of those guys. If John Jones had a big fight, I was shelling out the money to watch John Jones because he was going to fucking ruin somebody. And it was like clockwork, and he would. And it was like,
and if he lost the fight, you didn't want to be the one person that didn't see it. Finally, Floyd Mayweather effect, like I said earlier.
Yeah, just an absolute freak of nature. So who is the champion now? Was there an interim champion who is now the regular champion?
It was Tom Aspinall, British man.
So now he is the official heavyweight champion now that John Jones is retired?
That's the fight everybody wanted to see, but John, I guess the number wasn't. And to be fair, I don't want to defend John ever, but the UFC not shelling out the correct amount of cash does sound like something that they would do, to be fair. So
yeah.
So I don't doubt him in that.
And I'm sure we could go on a whole nother podcast about this, but off the top of your head in our last 2 minutes, if you could change, or maybe not change, but if there was one thing the UFC could do to improve their product, what would you think? If you had to pick one, I'm sure you could pick a laundry list.
Their fighters better. There's not any more right now. There's not.
They don't have any stars. They don't have any stars.
Ronda Rousey or Conor McGregor. Yeah. None of them. And by the way, all those people I named kind of pieces of shit as well. Now that I think about it, all pieces of shit. Ronda Rousey's not like a bad person, but she has some very interesting political views. Let's just say.
Yes, but she seems to be like an
okay person, I guess.
The rest of those people are bad.
Or like actual bad,
like actual criminal bad people,
and like guilty too, not just like allegations. Like been guilty of several things. Yes.
Yeah, but they don't have those people. They don't have their Anderson Silva. They don't have their Chuck Liddell. They don't have. Like, and again, I speak as someone who
that's the exact perspective they want is you, not me. Because I watched. There was an event in Baku yesterday that I watched at 2:00 in the afternoon. You're not watching that shit.
No, I'm not watching even the big ones they have on Saturday night still for the most part because I don't know anybody that's fighting it. I know Calvin Cater because he's from my hometown and I went to school with his brother and I know
Rob Font is also
Rob Font as well. Like I know those guys because they're from Methuen. Right. Where I grew up in Methuen, Massachusetts, and I went to school with their brother. Like, I know those guys, the New England Cartel or whatever they call themselves. I know those guys, But besides that, you could show me the UFC card for the next big time Saturday night pay-per-view.
This Saturday.
And I might know one person. Maybe.
This Saturday's main event is Ilya Topuria and Charles Oliveira. You might know Charles Oliveira.
Oliveira I've heard of. I've heard of Oliveira.
Well, but
that's not like you could put him in a line and I wouldn't be able to pick him out.
But that's exactly I want your type of perspective, because I will watch that. I'm like, I can't stand up right now how excited I am for that fight. But you
I'm
can
not
put
going to pay
both
money
of those guys,
to see it. If it was on, I'd watch it. I love sports.
If it was
I
on
love
ESPN,
competition. I'll watch somebody fuck somebody up. Like, I'm all in it for that. But I'm not spending $80.
85 now.
Yeah, I'm not doing that for people.
No.
I don't fucking know these people.
No. And then the fighters that might have that just aren't good enough. Like Sean O'Malley was probably the
I know him.
closest,
I know him.
He got his ass kicked by Merab.
Yeah, he got his ass beaten. It's over.
So is it.
Yeah, it's over.
And that's the one thing about combat sports. Unless you're a Conor McGregor, who's like the biggest star ever, if you lose one fight, you're kind of fucked. Like, you're kind of done. If you lose,
think was McGregor a bigger star than Rousey at the height?
Oh yeah.
You think? Yeah.
It's just because, money-wise? And this is fucked up to say. It's because MMA, I don't think, still has ever truly embraced women's fighting.
I mean, if you weren't going to do it with Ronda, you're never going to do it. She was like, yeah. At one point, when she was at her height, she was the most popular person in the whole thing.
Yeah.
You could have built the whole thing.
I don't just because she was with Conor at the same time. So, but I mean, it was the minimum second, and she's only second because the biggest star ever was first. Yeah. Yeah. If she was now, it'd be, please fucking sell at a stadium. Never mind.
But I think that's what they need. They need their, and like they kind of went the way of boxing where they have rankings, but the rankings don't. The number 2 doesn't always fight the number 1. It's
got a title shot.
It's political shit. It's based off of money. It's based off of this. And like that's kind of why in my opinion, growing up in the 90s when boxing was still a really prevalent thing, that is what kind of started to kill boxing. Was there are too many titles and there are people that are not ranked near the top. Like you got fucking guys that are ranked 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th fighting for championships. No, the guy who's 2 should be fighting for the championship.
I think boxing is doing a little bit better right now because Turkey Al something, one of those people, I forgot his name, honestly. My bad for that. But he is teamed up with, funnily enough, fucking Dana White, and they're making like legit like Mayweather Pacquiao should have happened 5 years before it happened.
100%.
They're doing like Canelo Alvarez is fighting Terrence Crawford in September. That's
a fight that should have happened 8 years ago, and it would be
maybe not 8, but yeah.
No, but you know what I mean, like 3 or 4 years.
But they're making Turk is a fucking guy. Like he makes shit, and again, it's this fucking Saudi money that is just endless. But I don't give a fuck the reason that it happens as long as it happens. I don't give a fuck what you pay him. You having the Tyson Furies versus Usyk 3 times. Like, I think he is the best thing that's happened to boxing in a while. And again, it's so weird that Dana White is like de facto partner now. Yeah. And he pays the UFC fighters like they work at fucking McDonald's. Not there's anything working at McDonald's, but when you're dying in the octagon, you should probably get paid a little bit more than that.
I would think.
Yeah, so I think boxing might be on the come up in the next year or 2.
Yeah.
Which is good. So.
Yeah, that's good at least. I grew up in the height.
In this time of year in the summer, you need something to pad you by.
You need something else to get you by. But all right, yeah, I know I mentioned it at the top, but they had the Travelers Championship in Connecticut in New England over the weekend. And Keegan Bradley, the local boy from Vermont, the New England, he went into Sunday down 4 strokes, I believe, went into Sunday.
4,
and hit his approach shot on 18. He just fucking stuck it.
Great crowd on Sunday too.
Oh, because once he was in the running,
it was
New England, baby. We all stick together.
Like, oh shit, Keegan's coming up.
Yeah, once Keegan was around it, it was like the crowd was like, "Well, this is our fucking guy, obviously." And it was, they started getting, and I get it because of Ryder Cup and he's gonna be an honor. He's gonna be a player's captain. I feel like as he should, and the crowd started leaning into the USA because Fleetwood is English, and he was leading all week, like Saturday and Sunday, and the crowd started leaning into the USA. And I get it; it wasn't from a bad place.
It wasn't like a
But
wrestling crowd.
no, it wasn't like that. It was like a, hey, Ryder Cup USA, you're
America.
English,
We're Americans.
we're American. He's our boy, New
Right.
England. Like, this is our fucking guy.
Uh-huh.
And it was just like, it was kind of like the perfect moment for him because the crowd was 100% behind him.
Oh, yeah.
Not only because he was an American, but because he was a New England.
He's a New England guy.
He's a New England guy. And they were like, holy shit, this New England kid can win this New England fucking thing. And he did.
And like me
and it was
JPJ
awesome.
said on the first ever episode of this, New Englanders will support you if it's a fucking chess competition.
Doesn't matter.
They support anything.
Yeah.
You can do anything.
Oh, is he from New England? Oh,
yep.
I want
what
him to
does
win.
he do? What sport does he play? What sport does she play? I don't care. I'm in.
Yep. 100%. 100%. That's just who we are as people. We're just always. But it was a really good moment, and it led him in a short putt, which he hit to win it. But that approach shot,
the real shot was the approach. It wasn't.
Oh my goodness, his second shot. Everyone else got, Fleetwood missed the green a little bit. The other guy they were playing with wasn't really in contention, but he stuck it pretty good. But then all of a sudden, Bradley just went right for it, and he got it within like 5 or 6. It was just like, oh. And then he walked up that walk to the green, and the crowd was just losing their shit.
Because it was the easiest, but everybody knew he was
sinking
it. So
and it was just like, holy crap! Now he has a chance to win this friggin' thing, and it just ended up. It was just a nice little Sunday, then it went into Game 7, and then we had the College World Series in the afternoon, which you guys beat what? Coastal Carolina. You did 2 straight, right? You swept them.
Coastal Carolina, yeah.
You swept them. They won a couple years ago, right? Didn't they? Coastal Carolina.
And their pitcher was 12-0 with a 1.9 ERA.
He was projected to be the number 1 pick in the draft.
No, not Coastal's guy.
That was the LSU guy that pitched.
I'm talking about Coastal's guy that we beat yesterday. Was 12-0 with a 1.9 ERA.
Got it. Was it your guy? Was it LSU's guy that pitched in Game 1? That was. He was
131 pitches.
Yeah, well, he won't do that in the pros.
But no, he already. The good thing, and this is again on the injury thing, but he already had Tommy John surgery, which is almost a positive now for baseball players.
Yeah.
Like if you have it at 19, obviously you can't just like elect to get it, but like if you get it at like 18, 19,
you'd rather get it. You'd rather get it early and get it out of the way because it feels like inevitably
you're gonna need it if you're that high of a prospect throwing that many pitches.
Yeah, I don't want to put bad juju on it, but like it's inevitable that one season Paul Skeens is gonna get fucking Tommy John and he's gonna miss a year. It's inevitable. You know what I mean? Like it's just the way it goes. You know, so it is what it is. But
he's gonna be first or second. The other like contention is Jackson Holiday, Matt Holiday's son, went to the Orioles first overall a few years ago. His younger brother is now I forget his name, but something Holiday. It's either him or Kate Anderson from LSU. Gonna be 1-2. The Holiday family, man.
What the hell, Matt Holiday? He was a good player though for a long time.
Yeah, his sons are probably better. But,
now his kids are better. Well, they're at least getting drafted like they were better. So
they'll be the first brothers to ever
number 1.
But in any sport, it'd only be second to the Mannings, Peyton and Eli. In any sport to go.
Oh yeah, because they both went with number 1 too.
Because Eli technically went number 1 of the Chargers, but then they traded him for Rivers, number 2.
Yeah. And then Arch, when he comes out, might go number 1. And I know he's the nephew.
Yeah, but that would be another family. Yeah,
that would be what? Because was the father he wasn't a number 1 pick.
I think first round though, but no, not
he was first round, but I don't think he was number 1 overall. But if Arch comes out, if Arch has a good year down in Texas. And then he comes out and he potentially goes number 1. That would be 3 Mannings in the history of the league. That would go.
And it's funny because it's not 1. Eli or Peyton's son either. It's the other brothers.
It's the other brothers who had to stop playing due to like a heart defect or something like that.
So imagine he might have been all right too.
And he was a wide receiver.
Yeah.
That brother.
He might have been all right too.
Him and Peyton played together, and Peyton was throwing him touchdown passes. And I think if he could have played, I think they would have played it.
You ever like, damn, I could have one of my family members been like that, and I could have been something,
Yeah, right. I just see, and I get it, they come from like pro sport families, so it's in the genes. But I always see like, you see all these brothers and cousins and shit, and you're like, what? Huh?
We're sitting here talking.
Like, how are you all good? How are you all
good? Like, one of you don't suck.
Like one of you can't be
a
regular fuck?
We talked about the Jones family.
Yeah. One of you can't be a regular fuck? One of you can't be regular.
One of you can't work at H&R Block and do
like, what the hell, bro? All of you have to be like the best at what you do? Bullshit.
Something different.
Spread the wealth, will you?
Right. Can I get some?
You can't have 2 Hall of Fame kids. You got to have fucking 3. What are we doing? Anyway.
Piece of shit.
Unbelievable. But on that note, anything that we missed that you wanted to talk about?
I think we covered it. We have another, again, next week's episode will be just as crazy. I'm sure the NBA, our team will probably look very different. Several other top teams will probably look very different. And
yeah, we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. Obviously, we will be back later on this week, Friday morning.
And you want to talk about loaded episodes? That what's going on right now with a certain flying situation.
Yes. As we speak, nobody knows what the fuck is going on this weekend. I mean, listen. If I had to guess, as we stand right now at 5:20 p.m. on Monday, I would be shocked if they canceled the show.
Me too, but it's still it's more in flux than it normally would be, obviously.
100%.
What's going on.
100%.
Let's just hope they make the right decision, and if they don't, everybody comes back safely.
Yes. But there is some stuff going on with everything that's happening in the world. In the Middle East, they've kind of shut down the airwaves.
Some WWE employees are stuck already there.
Yeah, they're stuck in Qatar. Some of the production, they're in Qatar, which is not Saudi Arabia, and they can't get to Saudi Arabia because of the airwaves are shut down. But as of right now, from the latest reports from credible sources, the talent have not been told any scheduling changes have happened yet. That doesn't mean there won't be by the time this is released. Or
they might be waiting for everybody to arrive to the arena for Raw to tell them or something. You never know, just so everybody's there at once.
So it seems like there are some things that could be in flux, but who knows? But we do have a Night of Champions pay-per-view happening Saturday. So the wrestling show that we do, which will be released on Friday morning or Thursday evening, pending where you are in the world. We'll be talking about that, whether the show's happening or not. There's other things, obviously the terrible Liv Morgan injury that we didn't get to talk about because we didn't have the wrestling show last week. There's a lot of stuff we have to catch up on and preview a pay-per-view or PLE, most likely. So we're going to have another massive Storm show coming to you later on this week on the pro wrestling side of things. But before we get out of here, CJ, why don't you tell the people what else we got going on here at the Hive? Because we got a lot of good shit all the time happening here at the Hive.
We actually have some good news. Is this will be out after he already announced it, I guess. Josh, in case you didn't see, had an unfortunate our Impact Intact wasn't able to be released today, as we're recording today anyway, Monday. Because his PC fried out after a few years. But he was able, because of some nice friends and some of us here at the Hive and his own doing, family as well, he's able to buy a new one. So he should be back on the up and up soon, which is always great. Our leader, our fearless leader. Yes. But then also Peggy and Bryn have been cooking over the Substack. Your boy DC has joined the team recently as well.
Yep.
We have a giveaway as well for All In, again for the wrestling show, but we'll promote that here as well. Why not? A giveaway. If you go find the post on the Hive_media on X or Twitter, and probably every other social media platform as well, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
You just comment your favorite match for All In that you're most excited for, you can win the pay-per-view for free. A nice $60 in your pocket. You don't have to spend for a few weeks from now. It's big pay-per-view.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Me and JPJ are handling the Monday Night Raw. I'm filling in for Josh until he's back from his issues with the computer. For the watch-alongs, we may have one for Friday night, depending on if that show even happens, or Saturday as well for the show if that even happens. Who knows? For the Night of Champions. But yeah, and we have Steve obviously doing a FIFA series. He's leading a team of the Hive. He made his own custom team in FIFA, leading him from the lowest English division up to the Premier League. Yeah. Ryan is doing something similar with Madden. He's doing some classic gaming as well. Josh, again, when he's back, streams almost every single day. But yeah.
Yeah, we got the Buzz as well with Jamie.
Every single day, and then Friday, the full release.
Yeah. Yeah. So we release a quick hitter, 5 quick questions, which we release throughout the week. And then on Friday, you get the full interview. And he's had some great guests so far.
Some big-time Australian guests, too.
Yeah, some big-time Australian music artists. And he had Shaza McKenzie on there on the pro wrestling side of things. So that's been a fun little, quick little one question hitter, couple-minute video every day, Monday through Thursday. And then on Friday, you get the full interview that he does. So those have been a lot of fun. So plus we got some more stuff coming down the in the future. So
a lot of big pay-per-views coming up too.
Oh yeah, and we will be doing the watch-alongs. Obviously, I'll be filling in as lead tonight on Monday. So by the time you see this, it would have already happened. But if you're tuning in,
why not?
Exactly. So, but we're going to be picking it up this week for Josh while he's kind of waiting for his new computer with what happened there. And then next week we'll be back up and running full force, back with the usual content that you have been used to on the Hive. So, yeah, it's going to be a crazy, crazy, crazy summer. Anything else you wanted to say on our way out of here, CJ?
Oh, but just again, we're expecting big fireworks this week, and God forbid, hopefully you don't see us. But if a Jaylen Brown or a Giannis trade happen, we will, if we're available, we will be here live to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, that will happen. Go follow CJ at CJF Rights. Go follow me at JPJ Loves Gaming. Go follow the Hive on the Hive_media on all socials. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. Hope you all had a wonderful time as we continue to talk about and complain about sports like we do here every Tuesday and Wednesday morning for you fine folks. Appreciate all of you, and we will see you in just a few days talking some pro wrestling. But until then, peace out, guys. Later.